We're once again going back into the archives, taking a brand new look at a topic I covered way back in the early days of 7 Quick Tips, sci-fi builds. For whatever reason, that video was really short and there was a lot that I totally missed out on. So I'm here to finally do it justice. Sci-fi isn't something that people usually build as their go-to in Minecraft, but like with any other style, the right block choices and creative decisions can make some amazing builds. Today we're going to be building a sleek sci-fi spaceship and a custom alien planet biome. So if that sounds cool to you, be sure to stick around. Sit back, relax, and enjoy 7 quick tips for sci-fi builds in Minecraft. It's very helpful to settle on a genre of sci-fi before you begin so you have a more refined build style. Now I know sci-fi is already a genre, but it's also a really large and diverse one. In my experience, when you say sci-fi, pretty much everyone has a slightly different interpretation of what that means. And that's really cool actually. You can totally blend styles and ideas together, but having a well-defined style will make building and decorating a lot smoother. Maybe you want to go with more of a classic sci-fi feel with bright colors, sleek spaceships, and mysterious, exotic alien worlds. Something out of like Star Wars or Star Trek. Or maybe you want something dark and gritty, a dystopian cyberpunk landscape like in Blade Runner or Cyberpunk 2077. These two styles are both equally fantastic, but they have some big differences. If we're talking like classic retro sci-fi, I feel like you gotta build some sort of alien spaceship or maybe terraform like a vibrant custom biome. We'll be doing both of those later in the video, by the way. And of course, for more cyberpunky builds, you gotta make some big buildings. Making an entire city is definitely a massive grind, but trust me, super worth it for the vibes. It's okay to take some creative liberties with your block choices. Minecraft doesn't exactly lend itself to a sci-fi style, so we'll have to be a bit creative with our block choices, but that's okay. I talked about this briefly in my OG sci-fi builds video from way back when, but like, there are only a handful of blocks that really give off sci-fi vibes, which are these ones right here. As you can see, it's not much compared to the massive amount of blocks in the game, but that's not a problem. Just because I'm showing you these blocks doesn't mean you can only build with them. If anything, this allows for a lot of really cool creative block choices. If you've been around my channel for a while, you might remember this build. It's from my 7 quick tips video on cyberpunk builds from a while back. And the reason I want to bring this up is cause, well, I mean, look at all these wacky block choices. If you're making a gritty, dark city like this one, you can really get away with a lot of strange choices that you wouldn't really think to use in a sci-fi build. Keep an eye out over the course of this video as we put together our big sci-fi builds, cause I'm definitely gonna be making some weird block choices. Let me know what you think works and doesn't work. If you really want to give off sci-fi vibes, think about the kinds of shapes you're constructing in your projects and how you're lighting them. Clean geometric shapes are a staple of sci-fi builds. In particular, stuff like circles, cylinders, and hexagons all have big sci-fi vibes. There's this really great online tool that can generate circles and ellipses for you. I've got it linked down in the description, or you can just look up Minecraft Circle Generator. I use it literally every single time I gotta make a big circle. It's really great. Hexagons are a bit harder to make in Minecraft, but if you make them big enough, they can look really good. Check out how I've laid out this hexagon pattern along the ocean, all with different heights and textures and whatnot. Just something as simple as this, a bunch of shapes, already kind of has the sci-fi vibes that we're looking for. Now let's talk about lighting. As you saw in the previous tip, sea lanterns and end rods are my recommended light blocks, but they're both pretty hard to get in survival. And sometimes you don't want to like explicitly see the light block. Having hidden lighting in your build can make it very sleek and clean, exactly what we want in sci-fi. So if that's the case, I'd recommend hiding lighting under carpets or behind trapdoors and wall blocks. For alien planets and other similar kinds of builds, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone and look into some really wacky, exotic block combinations. I feel like I don't see a lot of people making alien biomes for sci-fi builds. And TBH, I kinda get it, they take a lot of work with all the terraforming and organic creations and whatnot, but it's also an opportunity to really get wild with colors and blocks that you'd almost never use otherwise. For our build today, we're gonna be transforming this here land area into a wacky, weird discovered alien planet. I've been planning out this build for a while now, and I'm really excited about it. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy. A lot of the nether blocks fit really well in sci-fi settings. I mean, I'm sure you can see that from the time-lapse we just did, but just in general, the 1.16 nether biomes introduced a lot of really alien-looking blocks. Growing a bunch of warped and crimson trees is definitely one way to make a biome look alien, but to be honest, I'd suggest customizing things a little bit more than that. In my opinion, if you take too much from the nether biomes, your alien biome will really just look like you transplanted another biome into the overworld. It's certainly different, but not really as unique. Let's do a bit of a deeper dive into my custom alien biome because I really want to explain my thoughts on the building process here. I'm gonna keep this quick, you guys, don't worry, we still definitely have more tips to get to, but I was really proud of this custom biome build, and I figured you guys would be interested in taking a bit of a deeper dive into it with me. I had two main criteria for a custom vibrant alien biome, like I was saying in the voiceover. A, it had to look alien, of course, and B, it actually had to kind of look somewhat like a real biome. Generally, a good way to make something look alien is just to throw in a lot of weird colors and like flora and stuff that you wouldn't really find in real life. So I mean, an obvious one here, the entire terrain is red instead of green. I'm imagining that on this alien world, instead of, you know, green grass and green leaves and stuff, we've got red grass and red plants and all of that. And you know, that has some basis in reality with light wavelengths and chlorophyll and all that nerd stuff that I'm not gonna bother getting into, although it is actually kind of cool. So I took a whole ton of time to put down all of this red wool and red concrete and stuff manually. And now onto the second point, of course, making things look somewhat realistic. And the main thing I did to accomplish that, as you can see behind me, is to kind of split the area into three separate biomes. Right, we've got the highlands up here where I've got these really cool trees I was just showing you guys. And then of course, you guys know very well, the cool little mushroom biome down here in the lowlands. Using a slightly different block combination, I'm going with the mangrove wood, which is of course darker and less vibrant than the crimson nylium, which is a nice contrast to the highlands, right, where I'm using a lot of wool, a lot of the fire coral, and a lot of the concrete powder, all of which are brighter, right? So the hill is generally a lot brighter. We've got these white and purple, really cool looking funguses. I didn't think I was going to be good at making mushrooms in Minecraft, but I mean, I quite like these a lot. What can I say? And last but not least, I've got this funky little side area over here, right, where it's elevated enough to have the wool, but not elevated enough to have those giant trees. So, you know, here I'm including a lot of those little like weird proto tree clusters. We've got these little budding things, which I'd imagine are like the sapling form of those big trees, right, where it's gray on the bottom and it's got that little node on the top with the candles. Once again, looking a little gross. I'm imagining that these are where like things are sprouting up from underneath the earth, and maybe like one of those quote-unquote tree things could actually emerge from these little patches given enough time and if they keep growing. So that's a general overview of my thought process when I was building this thing. As you can see, most of the thought was really just put into like how this would actually grow and thrive as a real alien ecosystem. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Now back to voiceover Leon. See ya. Spaceships are very hard, but I feel like smaller ships can be really great, more manageable survival builds. Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest here, spaceships are really hard to make in Minecraft. They're up in the air, which means you gotta build in the sky, which is already really annoying with scaffolding and flying around and whatever. Plus you're gonna be working with a lot of weird shapes. It's a whole mess. But just because it's hard doesn't mean we shouldn't try it. However, for the sake of getting this video out on time, I am gonna be making a slightly smaller ship. While giant mega ships are a huge grind, more medium-sized ships can really be a nice survival build. Don't worry though, cause we are definitely still gonna be packing this thing full of detail. For this build, I'm imagining an explorer, touching down on this alien world for the first time. Maybe coming from a larger capital ship in orbit above the planet. They're gonna be zooming around in their little probe ship, collecting samples from the planet, and analyzing all the weird, foreign native life. I hope you enjoy. If you're having trouble getting your build to look right, there's always color palettes to guide you. Even after all these tips and funky build showcases and whatever, it can still be really hard to construct a coherent build. And that's totally valid. When I'm stuck in a rut with a build, or just want something cool to work off of, I like going online and finding reference images. Specifically, in this case, we're going to be looking at references and deriving some block palettes from them. Here's a really sick interior shot that definitely has sci-fi vibes. We've got a ton of contrast here from the light and some cool green to blue hues, so I'd definitely be using sea lanterns. For the actual building materials, a deep slate tile floor and quartz walls could look pretty accurate. And if you want something more cyberpunky, here you go. The first thing that you'll see, I'm sure, is the magenta lighting from below. And of course, we don't have colored light in Minecraft, even though I really wish we did. But we can substitute with end rods and magenta glass in the windows. As for the building material, something dark and drab like cyan terracotta or gray concrete would do the trick, with maybe iron bars and deep slate for detail. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. If you're hearing this message right now, you're doing a lot to help my channel grow, and I really appreciate that. If you like the kinda cinematic intro I did in the beginning, or the builds or anything, let me know in the comments. They're fun, of course, but as you can imagine, they take a whole lot of extra time to make. But I will absolutely keep making them if people are enjoying them. Until next time, gamers, this has been Leon, and I'll see you all in the next 7 Quick Tips video. Take care, my dudes.